A few years ago, I worked as an overnight facilities agent, constantly rotated by a subcontracting firm through various bank branches across the state. This guaranteed isolation. I never got to know a location or its staff. That particular night, fate assigned me to a Continental Bank branch in the deep south of Louisiana, near the coast. The journey felt like an exile. I drove for over an hour on cracked, narrow-back roads, the dense, humid air pressing in, mixing with the scent of sea salt. The address led me to a modern granite and glass structure that stood starkly against a sleepy old neighborhood. The bank's parking lot was barren. It was precisely 11 o'clock. As I approached the heavy front doors, a robust, weary man, who only introduced himself as Hank, opened the armored glass door. I signed the register, a worn, spiral notebook noting my name, entry time, and the job. Routine systems check. Hank didn't make eye contact. He handed me an access card and shuffled off. I'll be in the booth outside. Nothing else to do here. If anything happens, call the radio, he mumbled, leaving me completely alone. The isolation was instant. The silence was deafening, broken only by the low hum of the ventilation system. I walked through the lobby. The desks were pristine, the faint blue light of the monitors reflecting off the glass. My official task list was standard. Check the air conditioning on the main server and change a burnt-out fluorescent bulb in the senior manager's desk office. I started with the server room, where the mechanical buzz provided a brief, false sense of normalcy. But as I headed toward the manager's private office, the feeling of routine vanished. The deeper I went, the darker the hallways became. When I pushed open the manager's heavy door, the change was instantaneous and visceral. The air, already cold from the AC, became dense, thick and oily, loaded with something I couldn't place. It smelled strongly of burned ozone. The light fixture was empty, scattering fine, white, top-like dust across the dark carpet. Then I noticed the manager's large swivel chair. It was severely off-kilter, spun violently backward and leaning on two wheels, exactly as if someone had leaped out of it in desperate terror. I froze. The bank was sealed, and I dismissed my rationalizations. I forced myself to work, opening my toolbox. The dust that fell on my uniform felt strangely cold, like frozen ash. It was during this silent work that I first heard it. A faint murmur. It was not a mechanical sound. It was a continuous sound that seemed to originate from the wall behind the desk, the wall shared with the vault, which was clearly locked. I stopped climbing, my heart hammering. I strained to hear over my own breathing. They were low, indistinct syllables, like urgent whispers amplified by the metal. I checked the central corridor. The room was deserted. My eyes scanned the lobby. I walked past the line of 4 ATMs. 3 were dark, but the closest one to the vault wall was active. It projected a single, frozen transaction confirmation screen from 3 years ago. The account balance was chillingly blank. I leaned closer, then I heard it clearly. It was right behind me. A feminine voice, unnervingly soft but commanding. "You shouldn't have entered alone." The air chilled literally. I saw my breath condense. My muscles locked. With sheer willpower, I whipped my head around, and there it was. Through the customer service glass stood a figure. A mass of absolute pitch black, a perfect smudge of darkness that absorbed all light. It had the tall, slender outline of a human, but no face. It was a terrifying, two-dimensional shadow. My mind activated primal terror. I ran full tilt toward the main exit, leaving my tools scattered. I slammed into the heavy glass door. It was jammed, locked tight. I hammered the glass. The security booth light was on, but empty. I screamed Hank's name. Sprinting back, I found the logbook and pen gone. I found only Hank's radio, cold and silent. All evidence of my entry had vanished. I forced the emergency lock with a memorized code. I burst out onto the street, running until I disappeared into the humid mist of Shadow Creek. I reached the main city at dawn, exhausted. The next day, my supervisor, Steve, listened to my explanation with cold disbelief. Shadow Creek branch? That branch has been officially closed for over 6 months, he said. Our contract was terminated. No one should have assigned you that job. There is no guard named Hank. My employer denied my reality. Out of protocol, they contacted the bank. The street-level security cameras, Steve told me later, show nothing. No truck, no guard, no sign of you entering. It's as if no one was ever there that night. I was forced onto paid leave. The terror was realizing I had existed in a place the world's records denied. Time passed, but the doubt refused to close. A few days ago, an envelope arrived, cheap manila. No sender. Inside was a debit card, old issue design for Continental Bank, embossed with my name, Alex Hayes. The payroll account was active, balance 0. The second item was a piece of paper, handwritten in elegant cursive. 7 words struck me: return to the branch. You didn't finish the job. The bank was a setup, a lure for me. The shadow was a hostess. The debit card is my key. I know I should destroy it, but the need to understand is stronger than the fear. I know Shadow Creek is waiting. I will return to that Continental Bank branch to finish the job.